Let's change our gears to the NFL. We're going to do something a little bit different here because I'm a Raiders fan. David is a Falcons fan. We're going to take our time to have our own takes on the matter. So the Atlanta Falcons, they lost in overtime on Sunday to the New Orleans Saints, and after the Falcons have had two tough losses, the Eagles and the Saints, and they had a great win over Carolina. They're now 1-2. So what is your takeaway right now on the Atlanta Falcons State of the Union? Give it to us.
All right, so yeah, I don't even know if we're fielding or starting defense anymore because pretty much everyone's hurt. We don't have Debo anymore. We don't have Keanu. He tore his ACL. We don't have Ricardo anymore. He tore his ACL. Tack McKinley's still hurt. Derek Shelby's still hurt. Those are five guys that are instant game changers. And since the NFL is such a centric field type of game where all the plays are now being focused in the middle of the field or across the middle of the field, losing a guy like Deion Jones and Keanu Neal is just absolutely traumatic for our team right now. But if you're a Falcons fan, after dealing with last year's offensive struggles, it is a blessing to see Steve Sarkisian finally calling an offense that looks like it can move the ball at will. We scored 37 this week against the Saints. Even though we lost since our defense is so depleted. But then we scored 31 last week against the Panthers, and that really looked like we were moving in a great direction. And Calvin Ridley being another weapon alongside Julio Jones it has me very excited. Matt Ryan had an amazing game, threw 26 for 35, 374 yards, 10.7 yards per attempt, 5 touchdowns with a 148 rating. This is extremely encouraging to me, especially because I was worried that if we don't have our defense healthy, how are we going to be able to win games? It definitely seems like our offense can take over, and we have bright spots in Ito Smith and Tevin Coleman. Ito is just further proving how Atlanta is able to just strike a gold mine with running backs later in the draft. And I think this just goes to show how the Atlanta Falcons drafting has improved the team. Deadrin Sanat, he provided well. He played a pretty solid game coming for what he came in for. Foye, he left the game hurt. Don't really know the status on him right now, but he definitely looked way more capable than Duke Riley, who every time I watch him do a run pass read, it gives me hemorrhoids watching that guy try to do anything. But quite frankly, the Saints lost. While it's disheartening, this was a rivalry game. A loss to the Saints isn't great for us in the standing for the NFC South, which is the most competitive division of football. You can at me on that one. You're not going to be able to dispute that. It is the most competitive and the most entertaining division in football. I think the Falcons, if we can somehow just hold out long enough to get Deion back and keep Tack healthy and have a little bit more production from Vic Beasley, I think we'll be okay and we'll be a playoff-bound team.
Yeah, my impressions of the Falcons is I think they've looked pretty good so far. And Matt Ryan, you see what he does in the second year second year in a row of having the same offense coordinator. His play is taken to a different level. And then now you have Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. That's going to be a tough duo to stop. I think, in the NFL, you can be a good team and not win. Because one or two plays here or there, you get a little bit unlucky in the schedule. The Falcons have lost 2 close games. Their schedule is pretty tough. What's unfortunate for the Falcons is they've already played 2 home games, and they play 3 home games in the next 4. So they need to get W's. They play Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Tampa, and New York. It's sort of questionable. Cincinnati, not really sure. Are they good or are they just decent? Pittsburgh, they could be the best team in the league one day, and then they could lose or tie to the Cleveland Browns. And then, we've seen what is Tampa Bay. Who knows what Ryan Fitzpatrick will be once Tampa Bay comes to town. So, and then you have the New York Giants. So it's going to be an interesting 4 weeks. I could see the Falcons winning all 4 games, going 3-1. I think the team's a really good football team, and they've played really well the first 3 weeks. But the next 4 weeks, the next month, is going to be crucial because they've had so many home games in the beginning of the schedule. They need to get those victories because when you play road games later in the year, they're very tough to win. So